York City police officer shot ambush style. And I'm sorry to bring this news to you tonight here at a late hour. I did have a little technical difficulty on the first one. I had to do a restart, and I think we're good and back. If I can get a thumbs up on the audio before I go any further, I will wait to see that I get some confirmation that we fixed the audio. I had to do a whole bunch of stuff to get this going, and I'm hoping that it fixed the problem. I'm hoping that it fixed that. So I'll just wait for a couple more people. Michael B, first one in. Are we good to go on audio? Do we have a thumbs up on the audio? Yes. All right, good. I had to restart my computer, and there was a couple of settings that I had to fix. Anyways, DutyRon here, retired New York City Police Detective. I did 20 plus years in New York City Police Department, and unfortunately tonight we had two members of the service, my own fellow brothers in blue, in the Bronx, New York, sitting in a marked police van with the turret lights going. They were on a fixed post to reduce crime in a high crime neighborhood in Hunts Point, in the Hunts Point section of the Bronx. They were sitting in a marked police van with the lights going. A perpetrator came up, asked for directions, and then proceeded to pull out a firearm and open fire on him, striking one police officer in the chin and in the neck right next to his carotid artery. Thank God that the officer did not sustain any life-threatening injuries and will be more than likely treated and released and sent home tomorrow. So his injuries are miraculously very minor, but he was shot twice, once in the chin and once in the neck. There was bulletproof glass on the police cars. All of New York City Police Department vehicles have bullet-resistant glass, but he shot, I'll show you a picture, straight through the pillar. So welcome into all my friends, Joey Brooklyn, everybody coming on in. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to go right to a news clip so you guys can understand what happened here. It was 8:30 p.m. East Coast time, 8:30 p.m. in the Bronx. I believe it was the 4-1 precinct, 41st. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it was the 4-1. Marked patrol car with the lights going, and there were two police officers sitting in the vehicle to reduce crime in that neighborhood. A crime reduction neighborhood, a crime reduction fixed post, as we call it. So let me go to my secondary screen here so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. And you could get to hear the reports, but we give thanks and praise to God for looking over these two police officers. They both could have been killed, and we are thankful to the doctors and the nurses and everybody who has taken him in to give medical attention. So I'm going to play this clip for you guys real quick, and we will go from there.
PD officer was shot while sitting inside his van, and you can see where one of the bullets pierced the door and hit that officer. That officer.
So just so you know, the darkened area is ballistic. If this perpetrator, and this is what makes it seem like it was a calculated ambush on them, because it looks like the perpetrator knew to shoot at the pillar here, right where my cursor is going. So he shot straight through the door pillow and a pillar and hit the officer right in the chin. So if he would have shot here in the glass, it wouldn't have penetrated.
Is expected to survive.
But the shooter is still on the run, and now there's a frantic manhunt along Simpson Street in the Hunts Point section. And of course, the fear here is that this was a targeted attack.
We have team coverage for you. News 4's Miles Miller is at the hospital where the officer was taken. But first, let's go to News 4's Anjali Hemphill, and she's near the scene in the Hunts Point section. Anjali?
Well, we've got a very large and active crime scene out here, as we do believe that police are still trying to track down a suspect. Right now, the media being kept back from where the shooting actually happened, which I can tell you is further down this road and around the corner off of Simpson Street. But we do have a photo of that police van that was shot at, where you can see a bullet hole in the door frame. Other bullets were likely stopped by the bullet-resistant glass in the windows. Now, according to sources, there were two officers sitting in this marked van around 8:30 tonight when a suspect walked up to the passenger side window and asked for directions. They say that suspect then pulled out a gun and began firing shots several times at that van. We've been told at least one of those officers was hit, grazed in the chin and neck by a bullet. Now, it's still very early in this investigation, but we are told police are looking into whether this was possibly an ambush type situation on those officers. Again, it is still too early to tell.
Okay, I just want to stop right there. No officers have passed away. The one officer who was hit is going to be okay, is treated and released. Betty, thank you for coming. I know that you said you can't stay, and I understand completely on that. But the one officer that's hit is going to be treated and released. He was very, very lucky. One shot to the chin and one in the neck, just missing his artery. Lisa 111 put a message out. One had passed. That's not true. So there was a perpetrator who walked up, asked for directions, and then proceeded to pull out a firearm and open fire on these two officers. The officer who was in the driver's seat was the one who was shot, and his partner pulled him out of the driver's seat and slipped over from the passenger seat and drove him to the hospital. The van that you saw there was the actual police van that was involved in this. And you'll hear the news conference that I'll play from the police commissioner. He said it was nothing short of miraculous
Right now, but it does appear that police are still searching for who did this, as we've seen a police chopper circling overhead, shining its spotlight. Unclear right now if any arrests have been made. In the meantime, take a listen to the calls that went out over the police scanner when all this went down.
Okay, I'm going to just put a disclaimer here. This is going to be tough to listen to because this is actual live police, the actual police call of the officer right as he was shot. This is his partner getting on the radio. So if anybody is PTSD or is anxiety or anything like that, this is probably not going to be for you to listen to. So again, I like to put those disclaimers out so this way everybody is forewarned if you want to step out. Now, this is radio transmissions from the police officer's radio. So, okay, cool. Thank you, Lisa. I just looked up and saw here what I'm talking about, and I didn't think anybody was speaking about anything else. So no worries. Prayers to the Seattle police officer, obviously. May he rest in peace. I haven't heard anything about that yet, but I will look into it after this live stream. All right, here we go, guys.
Shots fired. In the van. That's right here.
All right, so that's his partner saying shots fired, and then they're saying inside the van. So these are radio transmissions from the police involved in this incident.
Shots fired. In the van. That's right here.
I have an injured MOS.
Sergeant, MOS is in 3514. So it's escorting MOS to Lincoln.
There are still several block streets around here. Traffic is pretty much a mess. Drivers should avoid the area. We're live in the Hunts Point section of the Bronx. Anjali Hemphill, News 4, New York.
Okay, Anjali, thanks for the update there. Let's go to News 4's Miles Miller now at Lincoln Medical Center. That's where that officer was taken after he was shot, Miles.
Okay, so the officer was taken to Lincoln Medical Center, which is in the Bronx, and this is going to be an update from the hospital.
What do we know about how he's doing tonight?
Well, the officer recovering tonight here at Lincoln Hospital, being joined by his family and many members of the NYPD. That officer was taken to the hospital here by his partner in the moments after that shooting. We know that the mayor and the police commissioner are both here at the hospital. They are visiting with the officer's family, and we're expecting an update at around 11:15 on the officer's condition. Let's go ahead and show you the van that was involved in this incident, the van the officer was shot in. The van is behind the hospital right now in the emergency room. And we are told that that van is being held by the crime scene unit. That van was likely driven by the officer's partner here to the hospital, as you heard in that radio call. Now, there are dozens of officers in the emergency bay throughout the hospital here to show support for that officer that we are told is a officer who's assigned to the Bronx. He was assigned to a detail at that location where
his partner who was with him obviously was dealing with his partner shot in the chin and in the neck. So he immediately rendered aid and drove off. The perpetrator, once he started shooting at the police officers, was engaged by other police officers in a gun battle, but he got away. The perpetrator is on the loose. I can guarantee you this. The NYPD will catch this perpetrator in a very short period of time. He did not try to go after did the other officer try to go after the shooter? Absolutely not. He went to take his partner immediately to the hospital. So went to take his partner to the hospital. He let responding units deal with that, and they're still searching for the perpetrator.
Van was. It was a fixed post, and we are learning new details about just what happened here, specifically that the officer was grazed by a bullet in the chin and in the neck and is expected to survive. We're expecting to get more details at that news conference in just a few moments here at the hospital. That's where we're live. I'm Miles Miller, News 4 New York.
Okay, Miles, thank you. And once again, we're going to bring you the police commissioner and the mayor's update live in just a little over 10 minutes at this point, right here on News 4 and on NBCNewYork.com.
All right, so that's...
The first American has died from coronavirus in China.
That's a whole nother story right there. But let me give you a little bit. I'm going to spare you that for now. Again, these officers, both of them are lucky. By the grace of God, they were spared. Their lives were spared. This perpetrator, again, is on the loose, and we don't have a great description of the perp. So I'm still awaiting some. He's stable. He's not in critical condition. He's going to be probably treated and released. I have a grainy video of the police commissioner and the mayor and PBA President Pat Lynch speaking. I'll show you that in a few minutes, but let me just continue with this. Stand by.
Wood in the Bronx. Of course, that manhunt still underway. Naveen?
Yeah, Sandra, very high police presence here still.
Coverage now with Eyewitness News reporter Naveen Dhaliwal. She is at the scene in Longwood in the Bronx. Of course, that manhunt still underway. Naveen?
Yeah, Sandra, very high police presence here still just 3 hours after this happened. And you just heard the commissioner tell us more details about what exactly happened here. The two officers were sitting here on Simpson Avenue, about a block from where I'm standing, where you can see is the where the police activity really is. They say that they were both in a marked van in uniform when a man walked up to them asking for directions, made some sort of a conversation, and pulled out a gun. The officer in the driver's seat at that point saw this. He put the car in drive, trying to get away, but that man fired that gun, hitting the officer in the driver's seat in the chin as well as the neck. Well, it turns out, you just heard the commissioner say,
his partner drove the van to Lincoln Hospital, where that officer is recovering at this time. You also heard the commissioner say that this is an absolute miracle. He was hit in the neck near the carotid area. This could have been a much worse situation, but he is expected to survive. Here at the scene, officers have swarmed the streets, closing them off as they search for this suspect. Right now, we know he was wearing dark clothing as well as a dark hat. I've been watching officers here, or detectives here, go into the local businesses, looking for surveillance video, hoping to get a better description of this man. But
Jonna, they just answered you. I was going to say yes. They're searching for surveillance footage from, as you can see, this is a good shot that I just paused it on. There's many businesses around. This happened at 8:30 p.m. tonight. Hello, Kathy from Texas. So it happened at 8 p.m. Thank you so much for the super chat, Marlon. Thank you so much for that super chat and that kind message. I appreciate that. So the NYPD, the greatest detectives in the world, they're going to be on this case. And I would tell you that within a very short period of time, this perpetrator will be under arrest. One under by the detective squad out of that precinct. Major case PDU will be on it. They're going to pull every bit of video. And as you could see right up here on this poll camera, there's a poll camera right here. The NYPD has footage on their own cameras. This looks like a poll camera perhaps, but I'm sure that they're going to pull all the surveillance from all around the surrounding businesses and whatnot. So let me let the rest of this play.
again, right now we have one officer shot, recovering at Lincoln Hospital, and he is luckily expected to survive. A much worse hospital where that officer is recovering at this time. You also heard the commissioner say that this is an absolute miracle. He was hit in the neck near the carotid area. This could have been a much worse situation, but he is expected to survive. Here at the scene, officers have swarmed the streets, closing them off as they search for this suspect. Right now, we know he was wearing dark clothing as well as a dark hat. I've been watching officers here, or detectives here, go into the local businesses, looking for surveillance video, hoping to get a better description.
Okay, so there's the answer to your question. They are canvassing the area, and yes, the shot went through the door pillar. The door pillar in my previous video that I showed. I'll try to get that up for you guys here. But it went through the door pillar. I think it was in this one. We had a still photo.
His van, and you can see where one of the bullets pierced the door and hit that officer.
There it
that
is, right
officer
there.
is expected to survive.
But the shooter is
door and hit that officer. Where one of the bullets pierced the door and hit that officer.
Thank you so much, Doc's widow. Prayers for all police officers. Thank you so much for that super chat and the prayers for our all police officers throughout the world, not just the NYPD. Quinny, so good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. So let me show you. This is going to be grainy, and this, unfortunately, is from the other app. Joey, you're going to laugh at this, Joey Brooklyn. This is from Periscope, but the NYPD chose to broadcast this on the on Periscope, which I don't know why, and they broadcast it in the wrong way. Kathy from Texas, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for the generosity, and she says thank you to all. Thank you for all your coverage. You're doing a remarkable job, Ron. Thank you so much. Messages like that make me really feel great about what I do here, and I'm glad that you guys get something out of this, because I try to give to you as much as I can.
That officer is expected to survive.
But the shooter is still on the run, and now there's a frantic manhunt along Simpson Street in the Hunts Point section. And of course, the fear here is that this was a targeted attack.
We have team coverage for you. News 4's Miles Miller is at the hospital where the officer was taken. But first, let's go to News 4's Anjali Hempel, and she's near the scene in the Hunts Point section. Anjali?
Well, we've got a very large and active crime scene out here, as we do believe that police are still trying to track down a suspect. Right now, the media being kept back from where the shooting actually happened, which I can tell you is further down this road and around the corner off of Simpson Street. But we do have a photo of that police van that was shot at, where you can see a bullet hole in the door frame. Other bullets were likely stopped by the bullet-resistant glass in the windows. Now, according to sources, there were 2 officers sitting in this marked van around 8:30 tonight when a suspect walked up to the passenger side window and asked for directions. They say that suspect then pulled out a gun and began firing shots several times at that van. We've been told at least one of those officers was hit, grazed in the chin and neck by a bullet. Now, it's still very early in this investigation, but we are.
All right, I'm gonna segue over to the NYPD news to see if there's a picture. Daphne said she saw a picture, but let's listen to this news. This one's no good. It's cut off. I don't see anything on the NYPD news Twitter site. Give me 2 seconds here, guys. Hold on a second. Hold on. Yeah, I don't see anything yet. I don't see it. If anybody can message me, send it to me, and I'll take a peek at it. Just send it to me on Twitter or something like that. Hold on a second. Okay, here's the is this it? Does this come out right? Yeah. Okay, so this is it. This is going to be kind of grainy, but this is going to give you a good synopsis of what happened. Sorry about the chat on the side. Just forget about that. This is the police commissioner right here.
Good evening, everyone. About 3 hours ago, a uniformed police officer sitting in a marked police van in the confines of the 41st Precinct was shot and wounded. By the grace of God, we are here talking about an officer that will be going home. Let me be very clear. This was an assassination attempt of 2 New York City police officers. I'm joined up here by Mayor de Blasio, Terry Monahan to my right, Chief of Department, Chief of Detectives Rodney Harrison, and PBA President Pat Lynch. I'll go through the details in a moment, but first I'm going to kick it to Mayor de Blasio.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Did he just say I'm going to?
Commissioner Shea and I visited with.
Did I just hear the police commissioner say I'm going to kick it to Mayor de Blasio? I got to go back.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Terry Monahan to my right, Chief of Department, Chief of Detectives Rodney Harrison, and PBA President Pat Lynch. I'll go through the details in a moment, but first I'm going to kick it to Mayor de Blasio.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Shea and I visited with our officer. Thank God he is going to be okay. Our officer and his partner, under the most adverse possible situation,
thank you for sending me Daphne.
Did everything right. And thank God both of them are safe. But I want New Yorkers to be clear, this was an attempt to assassinate police officers. Out in the open, an individual walked up to a police van with the intention of killing police officers. This is absolutely unacceptable in this city or any place, in this country, anywhere in this world. But I have to say there is just too much hatred out there right now. There's too much hatred in general. There's too much hatred being directed at our officers, and it has to end. Tonight, thank God, our officers are safe. Thank God they will go home to their families. Thank God the good people here at Lincoln Hospital were there for them. But this has to end. We have to move forward in a situation like this and find a way to create a peaceful society, not one where those who protect us are in danger in this way. They put their lives on the line for us all the time. But this is something very different, and we have to stop it. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So again, I'm going to read through briefly what we know at this time, and I'm going to remind everyone that this is extremely preliminary as detectives are out in the field working this case as we speak. Approximately 3 hours ago, uniformed police officers sitting in a marked police van with its emergency lights activated. They were there in the 41st precinct to keep residents of the 41st precinct safe because of recent drug activity as well as violence in the area. Was shot by a man who first engaged the officers and his partner in conversation. I'll remind you that everything we're going to say is preliminary here. Tonight, our 2 officers, again, assigned to the drug-prone area, Barretto Street and East 163rd Streets. They were assigned there recently because of the violence, shots fired in the area. At approximately 8:28 p.m., a male approaches the 2 officers who were sitting in the marked police van and engages them in conversation, we believe asking them for directions. Without provocation, the man pulls out a gun. The operator of the van yells gun and immediately attempts to put the car into drive and pull away from the scene. At this point in time, what we know is that multiple shots were fired by the perpetrator at close proximity into the van. At least 1, possibly 2 shots struck the operator of the van. 1 struck him in the chin, 1 struck him in the neck, narrowly missing the carotid region. And it is a miracle that we are not here under worse circumstances. Neither of the officers returned fire. The investigation is extremely active at this point, and we have a description of a male, 20 to 30 years of age, with a black jacket in that area. I'm going to turn it to PBA President Pat Lynch, and then I'll take very brief questions.
Thank you.
This once again shows how dangerous the streets can be for New York City police officers. Fortunately, these police officers were vigilant. They were awake. They were ready.
President Pat Lynch.
And was able to avoid a tragedy. We've been in hospitals like this before where we didn't get the news we got today. Don't take lightly the words an attempted assassination. An attempted assassination because they were in a marked van with their turret lights going in a New York City police officer's uniform. We cannot allow this to happen. Our elected officials, Albany, in the city, have to now recognize how dangerous the streets are and start working with us to make sure people like this don't walk our streets. This police department will use all its resources to make sure we bring this person to justice. We hope the courts have the laws that allow them to make sure we get justice.
Before I take questions, let me just, I was remiss and thank all the doctors and nurses at Lincoln Hospital for the amazing care they have provided to our officers. We anticipate the officer will be going home at some point, probably tomorrow, held for observation overnight. But again, we are extremely lucky this evening, but thankful to all the care that we received.
All right, I want to point out how gracious Commissioner Shea was to the doctors and nurses, and he did forget to give them credit in the beginning, but he, as you heard here, made up for it. Daphne, I want to say thank you to you for forwarding me that information. I'm going to now play the clip that I received from Daphne. Thank you so much for that. Let me pull that up. Hold on a second. Where did it go? Where did you send that to me on? Did you send that to me on Twitter? Where was that she sent me that? That was on Twitter, right? Why don't I see it now? Hey, Daph, was that on Twitter that you sent me that? Or was that Instagram? I think it was Instagram. It was Instagram. Okay, hold on a second. I got to find Instagram. because that was good that you sent me that. That was good information. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Daphne. There it is. I don't see the chat. Why don't I have my Can you send that to me on Twitter, Daphne? Can you send it to me on Twitter? It's easier for me to get it on Twitter because I don't have the chat on my computer version of Instagram, or I could just forget it. You could send that to me on I don't have the full thing here. Send it to me on Twitter, and I'll post it up. So let me see what else I got while I'm waiting for that. I think this is it. Or did we play this? I'm gonna wait for Daphne. Thank you. Okay, cool. Let me take a peek at it right now. So Twitter is integrated in my okay, I got it. Thank you, Daph. All right. Shit, I did have that saved. That's what I was just I just had it queued up. But anyways, thank you for sending that to me. I appreciate it. Let me see if this is the same article. I think I had to scroll down. Here it is.
Tonight, a gunman shot at two police officers as they sat inside their marked police van. One of the officers was hit. Police Commissioner Dermot Shea calls it an assassination attempt. And right now, the gunman is still on the loose. Police say he asked the officers for directions before pulling out a gun and opening fire.
One of the officers was hit in the neck and chin. Luckily, he's expected to be okay. Commissioner Shea calls it a miracle the situation was not worse. Eyewitness News reporter Candace McCowan joins us from Lincoln Hospital, where the mayor and police commissioner held a news conference right about 30 minutes ago. Candace?
Yeah, well, Joe and Sandra, I will tell you that obviously officers, investigators are anxious to find this gunman who's still on the loose at this point. We do understand that there's been surveillance video that's been recovered of what happened and the person that they're looking for. As for that officer, he is here at Lincoln Hospital with his family members. As you said, he is alert. And that van that he was shot in, it's still parked outside of the emergency room on the opposite side of this hospital, where it was driven right after this. Now, we have live pictures from the scene where this happened around 8:28 this evening. That is the 900 block of Simpson Street. Two officers were in that marked police van with lights on when a man walked up to that van, engaging them in conversation and asking about directions, but then pulling a gun. That officer in the driver's seat, he yelled once he saw that gun and then put the van in drive, but he was struck by a bullet. We know his partner was able to drive him to the hospital here, Lincoln Hospital, where he is in stable condition. And we heard from Police Commissioner Dermot Shea and Mayor Bill de Blasio's. Shea saying that that officer is lucky to be alive.
Multiple shots were fired by the perpetrator at close proximity into the van. At least one, possibly two, shots struck the operator of the van. One struck him in the chin, one struck him in the neck, narrowly missing the carotid region. And it is a miracle that we are not here under worse circumstances.
Our officer and his partner, under the most adverse possible situation, did everything right, and thank God both of them are safe. But I want New Yorkers to be clear, this was an attempt to assassinate police officers.
Yeah, obviously a lot of anger and concern. We have this happening to officers, obviously too much. There's a lot of police presence here around Lincoln Hospital. Inside that hospital, that van, like I said, that officer was in when those shots were fired is parked outside the emergency room. So you had crime scene officers back there. They're obviously doing their investigation, collecting evidence at this point. It doesn't appear, though, that those officers were able to fire back at that suspect. As for that officer who was shot, he's here at the hospital. He's been on the force for 8 years, has known his partner since middle school, but is expected to be able to go home tomorrow.
We continue our coverage now with Eyewitness News reporter Naveen Dhaliwal. She is at the scene in Long.
So that's good news. I didn't see the picture. Thank you for sharing, Marlon. And now is not the time to bash Mayor de Blasio. We have a police officer who's shot in the face. So I'm not going to get involved in that. I'm not even going to acknowledge any of that. Right now we're just going to pray for a full recovery for that police officer who took a shot to his face, and also his partner, who is going to be now traumatized by this. They were friends since, what did they say, grade school, I think. So they're like lifelong friends, the two of them. They grew up together. And so this is going to be a heavy thing for the his partner to deal with as well. Oh, okay, I see it. Thank you. This is coming out of the Chief of Detectives, Rodney Harrison. Chief of Detectives has a picture of the perpetrator. I'm going to make it as big as I can here. Can I make this bigger? Let's see if I can. Okay. So there he is with the gun in his hand right here. This is, if you're looking at this photo, you could see in his, looks like his right hand, there's a black firearm right there. He has his finger off the trigger. I don't know how well you guys can see that. Let's see if I can make it bigger. So there is, this is a picture of him putting the gun here in his waistband. A lot of you would not pick up on that, but I, as a trained police officer, and I've been out on the street taking guns off the street. This is him handling the firearm right there. I can't make this any bigger. I wish I could. But that's the perpetrator with the gun, probably trying to hide in a local store. And that's him actually walking on the street with gun in hand right here. His index finger is along the slide of the weapon. And there's two good looks. And I want to say special thank you to Daphne, Pia Girl 1985, for putting me onto this. I appreciate friends and, fellow viewers. And, Daphne, I consider to be a great friend. Thank you for sending me those DMs. Those really help out during a live stream. You know what I mean? So you could see this is probably him either walking up to the police officers or after. And this is definitely after. He's putting it in his waistband or in a pocket here, it looks like. So he's trying to secure that firearm now into his waistband. Yeah. So this is a thug and a half. Let me see what else Chief Rodney Harris has to say. Okay, that's not him. Okay, here he is. The NYPD is asking the public's assistance in identifying the male depicted in these photos for questioning in regards to the shooting of an NYPD police officer in the area of Simpson Street and Barretto Street in the Bronx. So this suspect will be in custody within 24 to 48 hours. Okay, clearly attempted assassination. Ooh, what is this? There's the van. Yeah, this is it. This is actual live footage. He's shooting at the van. Holy shit. the perpetrator's right here. Oh my God. The van's pulling off because he had already shot him. And now he's here shooting again. This is posted on Twitter. You could see him with the gun pointed out and shooting at the police officer. And then that's him taking off to the right. It gets grainy when I make it big, full screen. Let's see if this goes. This is obviously from a business. He already shot. They're pulling off. And now he takes more shots at them as they're pulling away. Jesus Christ. Wow. That is something else.
That was my supervisor. Like this, she was watching us on the camera.
Wow. All right, let me shut that down.
How does it look? I don't see it.
And this is him, I guess, walking away. Hold on, this is him walking away.
Still, I don't see it.
They have him highlighted in red, but he wasn't wearing a red jacket. He was just firing at him as they were leaving.
Alright, hold on. That was my supervisor. Like this, she was watching us on the camera.
So now he runs back out. He went around the corner of that building, but then came back out.
How does it look? I don't see it. Still, I don't see it.
And that's him clearly walking away. Wow. So these are the dangers. Oh, that wasn't him. This is him right here. He's putting his hood up. This is him. So that first guy was not him. This guy with the red was not him. I was wondering. I thought maybe they made it bright red. But that was not him. He comes up now. You could see the black jacket. Here, this is him walking along the building. He puts his hood up. He puts the gun away. There's the gun in the waist. He put it away. The gun is right here. Put his hood up, and now he's just walking calmly away. Wow. Thank you, Daphne. Everybody just give Daphne a little bit of a thank you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you getting that out to me. So this is publicly available for anybody to see. So this is a cold-blooded. He wanted to kill a New York City police officer. So he definitely wanted to kill a New York City police officer. There's no question. This is definitely a assassination attempt on 2 New York City police officers, and you got to see it actually live on the cameras from the adjacent businesses. So I'm sure that the NYPD, like I said, hello, sweet crazy. Thank you so much for joining, Matty Boy Sully. Good to see you. So I think that says it all, guys. Here's the photo of this perpetrator posted by the chief of detectives. There's a good look at the perpetrator. This picture on the right here, he's got the gun in his hand. Yes, thank you, Daphne. And then on the left here, he's tucking it away as he's going inside one of the local stores. So yeah, a cold-blooded killer. for sure, cold-blooded killer. And this guy needs to be taken off the street sooner than later. I think it's a deep hatred, probably for the police. Anybody that does something like this has got to have their head examined, and is not right. That's for sure. So it is what it is. But I want to just say a special thank you to all of my moderators. Hello, Jenny Marseth. Thank you so much for being in here. Dawn Sass Marie, Marlon's Music Channel. Thank you for giving the super chat. Guys, this is a constant reminder that I say to you all the time. We have to thank our law enforcement because they put their lives on the line. They put their lives on the line for us, for our safety every day, 365 days a year, 24/7. They're out there risking their lives for our safety, And at the end of it all, folks, we have to support our local law enforcement and our military, but most importantly, our local law enforcers are out there, their first line of defense. And this is a cold-blooded assassination attempt to New York City police officers. And you guys got to see that video of him firing at that police van with the lights going. He fired at that police van as they pulled away. That cop was shot twice, once in the chin and once in the neck, and he continued to fire at them as they were pulling away. Now that is a cold-blooded killer right there. And I'm hoping that the detectives make an arrest sooner than later. Definitely got to be vigilant, Rose. Got to be vigilant. You got to be aware of your surroundings. But at the same time, these police officers, they didn't stand a chance. In a parked vehicle, he was approached. He approached them and asked them for directions. So he immediately caught them with their guard down. Winky, thank you for the super love. Thank you for the super love, Winky. If you're still up, I'll give you a call after this because I saw your message right as I went live. I was having some technical difficulties, but I did see your message, and I hope everything's okay. But we'll talk about that later on. But thank you to all the new subscribers. I have a ton of new subscribers. So if you are new into this chat and here for the first time, my name is DutyRon. I'm a retired New York City police detective. This U Police sign has a lot of history to it. It was made for me by Matt Sully's daughter and himself. And I want to say thank you to you guys, and thank you to all my Patreon, all my supporters who send me messages down below in the comment section, who send kind emails and messages on my website. Anybody who purchases merch from the merch store, thank you. Anybody who is using the Amazon affiliate link to shop, I thank you, ladies. Black Rose, I know you do that often as well, and so does a lot of others. And thank you to my channel members for being a channel member. It means a lot to me because it shows me that, you guys really are dedicated to this channel. You're dedicated to community and the greatness that we put together here about respect and honor. It's not just about me, it's about us together. So these two officers tonight were ambushed, and we could have had a much, much worse outcome here. So I thank my lucky stars. I thank God for looking over these two young police officers that are now going to have to recover going forward physically, mentally, and all of the above, because their careers have just been started. One of them had 8 years on the job. I'm assuming the other had similar amount of time. I would call them rookies. And if I was still on the job, I would refer to these guys as rookies, maybe just a little bit outside of rookies. But really, I tip my cap to all of you guys, because without the great people here on my channel and in the chat, without the respect and love that you guys all show me and I show it right back to you, it's a beautiful thing when you see it all come together. So I want to say thank you to my new channel members, Sleeping Beauty, Winky Whispers, Black Rose, Joey Brooklyn, Gail B, Sass Marie, Hunter is always here and always positively interacting. Hannah Marbury, Honey Badger. I mean, the list goes on and on. Bridget Servey, Dawn, Dawny Color. All of you guys are fantastic. So Michael B, a couple of the new ones that are in here. I really appreciate you guys. But again, as I said, we have to give thanks and praise to our local law enforcement. These are guys and gals that are out there day in and day out, putting their lives on the line for us. Now, yeah, we do have a couple of bad ones. There's a couple of bad apples that get mixed in the crew. But we can't get caught up. We got to be, as human beings, we get caught up. When we hear about a corrupt police officer or a politician, we get pissed off. And we all have the right to get pissed off. But the overwhelming majority, in the high 90s percentage-wise, the police officers in the New York City Police Department are good. 40,000 members, you're going to have a couple of rotten apples stuffed in there. There's going to be a couple of bad ones in there. And I'm the first to call them out. So you guys know that. I'm the first to call them out. Have a good night, Just Me. Thank you so much for being in here. So let me continue.
Get new floors during Empire Today's
Let me continue with this, and I'll leave you with this last update here. It's only 2 minutes, so I'll leave you with this as it comes through. This is for some of the people who
is at the scene in Longwood in the Bronx. Of course, that manhunt with eyewitness. We continue our coverage.
Get new floors during Empire Today's gigantic 75% off sale. That's carpet, laminate, and even hardwood, 75% off. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire.
That commercial annoys me.
We continue our coverage now with Eyewitness News reporter Naveen Dhaliwal. She is at the scene in Longwood in the Bronx. Of course, that manhunt still underway. Naveen?
Yeah, Sandra, very high police presence here still just 3 hours after this happened. And you just heard the commissioner tell us more details about what exactly happened here. The two officers were sitting here on Simpson Avenue, about a block from where I'm standing, where you can see is where the police activity really is. They say that they were both in a marked van in uniform when a man walked up to them asking for directions, made some sort of a conversation, and pulled out a gun. The officer in the driver's seat at that point saw this. He put the car in drive, trying to get away, but that man fired that gun, hitting the officer in the driver's seat in the chin as well as the neck. Well, it turns out, you just heard the commissioner say, his partner drove the van to Lincoln Hospital, where that officer is recovering at this time.
I'll show that video.
You also heard the commissioner say that this is an absolute miracle. He was hit in the neck near the carotid area. This could have been a much worse situation, but he is expected to survive. Here at the scene, officers have swarmed the streets, closing them off as they search for this suspect. Right now, we know he was wearing dark clothing as well as a dark hat. I've been watching officers here, or detectives here, go into the local businesses looking for surveillance video, hoping to get a better description of this man. But again, right now we have one officer shot.
Okay, so that news report was very accurate, which is surprising. They got it accurate because they said the description was a male in dark clothing, and a dark hat, and we saw the video. I have live video. I don't know how many of you were here, but I'll play that live video of the perpetrator in this crime actually shooting at the police vehicle. This is a police van that was in a high crime, heavy drug area. They were in a marked vehicle in uniform with the turret lights, with the police lights on, to deter crime. So that's purely what their assignment was for the 8 hours of their shift. They were to just sit in that van at one location, and the perpetrators and all the bad guys around kind of know that the cops do this. And he intentionally, with intent, walked up to that van, asked them for directions, just to throw their guard down, to put their guard down. And when he asked for the directions, he proceeded to pull out that gun and fired on them. And he fired multiple shots at them. And we could see on the video from a business across the street that he not only fired the initial shots, but as they pulled off, he fired shots at them as they pulled away. So I'm going to look for that. So give me 2 seconds. There'll be a black screen as I look for that. So give me 2 seconds on that. Hold on. Two seconds, guys. I got to go back into the. Okay. This is all courtesy of Daphne. Daphne. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right. So what you're going to see is security camera footage. Give me 2 seconds. Here we go. I'll set this up. This is the van right there. And the perpetrators, they have fired at him now. Now they're pulling away, and it's grainy, but he's got the gun punched out. He's firing it at them. Now he fumbles with it, walks over here. He's firing at the van. You see his arm out? He's got the firearm punched out right here. So he's got the firearm punched out. Dawny Color, good night. Thank you so much for being in here. I'm ending in a second. Thank you so much, Marlon Music. I'm going to call it a night. Thank you again for reporting this tragic act. DutyRon, God bless you and be safe. Thank you, Marlon Music. I appreciate you being in here. Thank you for the super chat, too. All right, so this is a clear picture of this perpetrator committing this crime on closed circuit TV camera. So shots are fired there. They're pulling off. Now he's firing more. Notice these people at the bottom are not even running. Notice these people right here. There's shots fired. Holy shit, that's a woman with a kid, it looked like. Or is that, it's laundry or groceries. They don't even run. These people down here at the bottom, look, shots are fired now. They're not even running. They're not doing anything. They're just walking like nothing happened. Did anybody pick up on that? This is how every day this is for them. These people if this was a decent neighborhood, I think that you didn't hear gunshots on a regular, wouldn't people start running? Wouldn't these people want to just duck and run? All right, so he's going to go over here, maybe do something with that gun, and then come back out. I don't know what was going on. Now he runs across here. Then the camera picks him up coming back here this way. This was the guy with the red. This is not the perpetrator. I thought it was. Now you'll see him coming up from the top. Perpetrator's up top here. He's going to come in the scene. Glad to meet you, Futures Past. Thank you. Here is the perpetrator right here, guys. Walking along the building. He's fixing something, gun in the waist. Hoodie is up. And he's just walking away. So that's it. That's it from that footage. I'm going to end it on that because I'm live a little too long now, and I want to get to bed and get some sleep. So again, 2 New York City police officers came under fire and ambushed tonight in the Bronx And you know, this is the worst case scenario, but it was also a good case scenario. The one officer was not critically injured. It could have killed him by hitting him in the carotid artery. Hunter, can they get sharpshooters on the roof? This is inner city, so it's not. You can't get sharpshooters up on roofs and start trying to peg people off or something like that. It just doesn't happen. DutyRon, would a silencer make it so they couldn't hear it? He didn't have a silencer because I'll show you the picture of him. I have still photos of this guy walking on the street, and the gun doesn't have a silencer on it. So they're just so used to gunfire in that neighborhood that it just doesn't affect them, and that's what it is. So let me just show you this. Let me show you the pictures of the perp before we go. This is Chief of the Detectives, Rodney Harris. He just took on this role when the police commissioner, when Jimmy O'Neill retired. Chief Rodney Harris, he was the chief of patrol, and they made him chief of detectives. So he's a brand new rookie chief of detectives, but I think he's doing a good job. So this is the perp. So this is picture number one. Here he is walking with that black hoodie and a black hat and black coat, and there's the firearm out in the open in his hand. So that's how brazen and bold this son of a bitch is. He was walking away with the gun in hand. Good night, Hunter. Thank you so much for being in here. Love and respect to you and yours always. So here he is on the street after the shooting, gun in hand. Premier Hell, great to see you. Thank you. There's my other technical advisor, Premier Hell, who knows everything about Streamlabs, StreamYards, OBS, CBS, ABC, and the CIA and Doris Day. He knows about it all. All right, this is the perp tucking the gun in here into his waistband inside a bodega of some sort, it looks like. This looks like a bogey. So he's inside in a bogey, tucking the gun away in his waistband. Can't make this fucking picture bigger. I wish I could, but I can't. So that's the perp. There's a good look at his face. We're going to have one under. He's going to be under arrest, mark my words, in the next 24 to 48 hours. I call it. Sorry, Ron, LOL, you want to go to bed. I'm doing this for some of the new people that are coming in, and I knew that you'd be interested in this as well. All right, guys. So that's it. Reporting on this police-involved shooting. I will update you guys if and when this perpetrator is under arrest. I can guarantee you he's going to be under within the next day or two. I wouldn't be surprised if we get up tomorrow and we hear about a collar. That's how quickly the greatest detectives in the world work. They're going to be working night and day on this 24/7. Major case is going to be on this, and the best of the best is going to go get them. So good night to everybody. Much love and respect. Let's say a prayer for this police officer and his partner, that he makes a full recovery and they are able to get on and going with their lives without too much PTSD or whatever you want to call it. All right. Love and respect. Good night, guys. From my house to yours. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll talk to you soon.